it's Becky. I'm back today with a video. I'm planning on maybe doing a little bit of a marriage series, but I don't really want to call it a series because I don't know that they're going to be like consecutive days or weeks, because I'm reading a couple of books, I'm doing a couple different things as part of this, but I don't know how close together those videos will be. But there will be a couple videos about the topic of marriage and improving your relationship with your spouse. So this video pertains to parents and kids and how to handle disagreements and be the kind of example for your kids that you want them to see of a good, healthy marriage. So as parents, and spouses, what we do affects our children, and whether or not we know it, they're really watching us, and they're watching our behavior and our interaction with our spouses as how they're supposed to do it too. How do you resolve conflict? How do you resolve, big disagreements and little disagreements? How do you make decisions together? They're watching and they're picking up clues from you as to how a healthy relationship should work. So when you think about that, it's kind of scary, because I know probably all of us have had cringe-worthy moments of our kids watching us be a bad spouse for whatever reason. I guess I should disclaim this by saying I am not perfect, and if you do any of these things, it doesn't make you a bad parent or a bad husband or wife. It just is something to think about in the future. So, disagreements are normal, but yelling and screaming and being physical, those are not normal, healthy ways to handle a disagreement, and they're certainly not a good example to set for our children. These are just some tips and suggestions for how to have a healthy relationship and to display that for your kids, so that you're really helping to ensure that they see the best possible example of a healthy, functional relationship. And the first thing that kids need to know is that parents are going to disagree. They're not going to agree about everything. They're two different people. And some people tend to disagree more than others. Me and my husband, like I said before, we have nothing in common except we have the same kids. Seriously, we are like night and day. My mom and my husband are more alike than my husband and me are. It's really funny. But we love each other, but we're going to disagree. And so it's okay to disagree. It's how you handle those disagreements and what your kids can observe from how you handle that. Another important tip is to not allow your kids to pick a side on who they think is right, and especially don't comment on it. Like I've told my daughter that before. It doesn't matter who you agree with. If you agree with me or daddy, you don't comment. You don't need to get involved. If we are having any kind of a disagreement when they're around, don't allow them to pick sides. And of course, save more serious disagreements and conversations for private time. We're all gonna have little squabbles here and there when the kids are around, like where you want to eat and who doesn't want to go where. But save bigger topics for when you have some time alone with your husband or wife. So like things about money or parenting decisions and disciplining the children and decisions like that. Any kind of worries, that disagreements you might have about the other person's work, or maybe some things the other person is doing that bothers you. Save all those more serious topics for when the kids are not around. And make sure that you don't pout to get your way. I think a lot of people do that, and it's not a healthy way to show your kids, because when your kids pout to get their way, don't you tell them, don't you pout, So even when you're a husband or a wife, don't pout to get your way, and certainly don't gloat and rub it in the other person's face if you end up getting your way, or you end up realizing, or if it turns out that you're right in a disagreement. Just be the bigger person and don't gloat about it, because that's not a good example to set to our kids either. Another really big important thing, don't talk bad about your spouse to your children. It puts them in an awkward position, and it's just really an unhealthy way for them to feel when they know that you're talking to them negatively about their parent, because they're going to love their other parent, and then they're going to be like, well, they're going to have conflict inside them that's going to make them feel less secure and less safe, and it's just really not the appropriate person to talk to you about your spouse. If you need to talk to somebody else, save that conversation to like a friend or your parents or something like that, and don't involve the kids at all in that. I think the main thing though to remember is we're all going to disagree, and like I said, that's normal, but make sure your kids see you make up and come to a resolution whenever possible. So if you've had a big fight, let them see whoever say that they were sorry, and to hug and kiss and make up. And, let them see start to finish some of the smaller disagreements about like how to, where you want to go out to eat. Well, I don't want to go here. Well, okay, fine. So when you get to that point where there's a resolution, be like, or I really don't want to eat there, but because you want to, let's go there. Let them see start to finish a healthy, normal conflict and resolution, so that they know that you're not still mad at each other, their parents aren't fighting and still mad at each other, and how that they can learn from watching you how to solve a problem, how to be giving and sharing, and to make compromises, because that's really important for them to see. You can tell them all day long how you want to make, how to solve a problem. But until they actually see you actually doing it, and then they can realize, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And another thing, this is kind of not really about conflicts and resolutions, but let your kids see you make time for each other. They want to know that their parents are happy, they're still friends, they're in love, and they enjoy spending time together. So I think it's really important for your kids to see you going out on dates or having a movie night, even if it's at home, or, holding hands. I know my daughter loves to see us hold hands, and sometimes she'll even put our hands together, and then she'll say, oh, I love it when you all hold hands. They want to see you happy and in love and connected to each other. And so that's a really big thing. It gives them a lot of security and makes them happy, I really feel like. So these are just some quick tips I had for you all, kind of kicking off this marriage series. I'll use my series, finger quotes, because like I said, they're not going to be necessarily in a row. But just a couple videos I have coming up on this. I'm actually reading a book right now by Jimmy Evans. It's called Marriage on the Rock, and this is it. I got it at Amazon. I'll put the link for it down below. Let me just throw this out there. I've never done anything like this before, but I just want to kind of feel the waters and see. I don't want to talk too much about this book or about Jimmy Evans, because that's going to be a separate video. He does have a whole series of marriage seminars that you can go to in different cities and things like that. I believe there's some CDs you can purchase if you can't go to the seminars. And then there's also the free podcast on if you go to like your iPhone, it's got the podcast little button. So if you go there and you search for Marriage Today, Jimmy and Karen Evans, they're husband and wife obviously, and they have a whole series of free marriage podcasts. They're really funny. They're usually 30 minutes or less, and they're amazing. They are so helpful, and for men or women. And so that's actually where I found him. A friend of mine had told me about his podcast, and so through listening to that, I looked more into him and found that he has this book. And so it's not like Marriage on the Rocks, it's Marriage on the Rock, and when you read the book, you'll find out what that means. But I'm still in the process of reading it. I do plan on doing a book review, but let me just throw this out there. Let's just see if anybody's interested. If you want to purchase this book, or check your library and see if they have it, I'll put the link for it down below at Amazon, where I got mine from. Maybe we could read it together. Would that be something that you all be interested in? In June is actually my 12th wedding anniversary. And so, we're at that point now. We've been married long enough to kind of know each other's ins and outs, but there's still a lot of improvements that we could make on my end and on his end. And so I really want to read this book just to improve my own marriage. But what do you think about maybe us reading it together? Would anybody be interested in doing it together if you purchase the book or get it from your library, and we can read it maybe one chapter at a time and either talk about it on here? I could make maybe a video after each couple of chapters, and we can kind of comment together in the comment section, or maybe on my Facebook page. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, if you'd be interested in doing that. Otherwise, I plan on reading the book and doing a separate book review about it. Of course, I'll be highlighting the key things that I think are the most important and the most helpful. But let me know in the comments below if you guys would be interested in doing kind of an online book club like that. That'd be really fun. I've never done anything like that before. And it would encourage me to make sure that I read at least a little bit every day, because I'm really bad about keeping up with reading anything. So let me know. I think it'd be really fun. And I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Let me know also in the comments if you have any suggestions of how to handle disagreements and conflicts, and setting a good marital example for your kids that you might have, and share it with all of us in the comments below. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.